Well done. You've made it to the end. You've actually completed the Microsoft Project 2016 training title. But have you learnt anything? Let's have a little recap and see if anything's gone in. What could you have learned if you were concentrating and taking part as we went along? Well, we looked at things like starting a brand new Microsoft project from scratch, either using a blank file or a template. We then explored adding, editing, deleting, moving tasks, because they're the mainstay of your Microsoft project. We looked at managing the projects, so things like filtering the tasks, sorting the tasks. We then looked at resourcing the project, adding your resources. We looked at managing the various potential calendars and how Microsoft Project deals with time. And we looked at and explored the very useful timeline. We also used Microsoft Project for tracking progress within our project, and then explored the ability to use master projects with sub-projects, the various reporting tools available, and then we finished when we looked at the customization of both Gantt charts and tables and creating our own custom elements. So in a little bit more detail, what did we actually do? Well, when creating a project, we were able to use a blank file or one of the built-in templates or a template that you could download from online. We explored the additional project property settings where we could put things like the project manager or the project name. We were able to amend the project start date and see what effect that had on our project. And we dealt with either automatic or manually scheduled tasks. By now, you would probably appreciate that my personal preference is for automatically scheduled tasks, and then the driving force for each of your tasks is the project start date and then any dependencies on other tasks. Tasks, which are the mainstay of your Microsoft project, were a big section. We looked at adding tasks, editing tasks, deleting tasks, and inserting tasks between other tasks, as well as moving tasks about, grouping tasks so that you can create a summary task, then the very clever project summary task, which sits at the top level. We explored why we might even want to use estimated and milestone tasks, and then the additional properties for a task, such as priority, notes, and attachments. And then the big thing, the task dependencies and relationships between tasks. So the various start to finish, finish to finish, and even finish to start relationships that are available between any pairing of tasks. We then worked with our project, having already added our tasks and their relationships, looked at navigating around a project, zooming in and out of the Gantt chart, sorting tasks, filtering tasks, and even grouping them. We looked at further additional properties for a task because there's plenty in there, and we looked at the deadline constraints and then soft and hard constraints. So things like not before, must finish on, must start on, not after. We explored other views, not just the Gantt chart we're dealing with here. We've got a network diagram and a variety of calendar views, and we discussed what exactly is the critical path. Then it came to resourcing, so actually deciding who or what was needed to carry out each task. So the variety of different types of resources, being work, material, and cost, how to add those resources into the resource sheet and edit them and edit their properties, and then assign those resources to various tasks. And we saw that there were a number of ways of assigning your resources to your tasks. How we would deal with fixed costs and how we would deal with overtime when assigning our resources. And then we looked at the potential problem of over allocation. Once you've assigned your resources, you've maybe over assigned somebody or a number of people to a number of tasks, and how we can deal with that over allocation, either manually or using Microsoft Project's own tools. We then explored calendars and time, so how Microsoft Project deals with working time and how you can amend those defaults so that a working day isn't always 8 hours long and a working week isn't always 40 hours long. The standard calendar and how that controls the availability of your resources, and how to edit that calendar and edit the resource calendars because each work resource gets its own calendar. How to add in exceptions for when people are unavailable, either because of holidays or sickness. Creating your own custom calendars for when a resource calendar or a standard calendar isn't quite appropriate, and then assigning those custom calendars to not only work resources, but even to tasks. Then came the great little tool, the timeline, which appears above your main Gantt chart area. We saw how we could turn the timeline on and off very quickly with one little tick, and then how we can customize that timeline by adding, removing tasks, using the call out features to make a task sit above the actual timeline, customizing the timeline for color, and even creating multiple timelines and exporting that timeline for emailing to people or placing in other programs like Word or Excel. Once the project is complete, we explored project tracking. We looked at changing the start date and obviously what effect that would have. Then saving the baseline. Baseline is the snapshot of where you want to go. After that, we can then use the same file to update task progression, either for full tasks or part of a task, and use the tracking Gantt to measure where we are currently with where we said we were going to be when we saved the baseline. So you've got that tracking and monitoring capability. We even looked at being able to split incomplete tasks. For whatever reason you might want to split them, either using the update task tool or a manual split by yourself. We explored master projects, the advantages of having a master project for managing multiple projects, either linking or embedding sub-projects within your master project, how to create links between your sub-projects, and how those links are then displayed when looking at them within each of the sub-projects. We looked at creating a shared pool of resources so that you have one resource file that is then used by all of your projects within your master project, and then using and assigning resources from that pool. We explored the massive array of reports available within Microsoft Project. There is a set of built-in reports, and we looked at how we could create our own report effectively based on those built-in reports. We looked at that we could print the actual Gantt chart and how we could customize that to some degree for either printing on paper or to PDF so that you could then email to somebody. And we explored the ability to export your data into Excel where you could do further manipulation of it. We also looked at the visual report side of Microsoft Project, which effectively allows you to create Excel files with charts based on your Microsoft Project data. And our final step was looking at customizing Microsoft Project to meet your needs. So managing the global template, the global.mpt file, how to move items in or out of that global file so that they're available to all of your projects, customizing the actual bars on the Gantt chart, creating your own tables, creating a new bar style that is triggered by whatever the requirements are for that particular bar style, even creating your own custom fields, of which there are a number of different types. And we saw that we could create straightforward typing fields, formula fields, graphical indicator fields, or even lookup fields. So there's a lot of control that you have over customization of Microsoft Project. Hopefully you did enjoy things and you learned quite a bit, and you're now going to go away and use that with Microsoft Project 2016. If you do have any queries, questions, or comments at all, then feel free to contact me using my email address, training@nybytes.co.uk. Thank you.